This is David with EV World News, where we talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. Today, my co founder Bill is out of town and not available, so I'm going to do this broadcast myself. I'm going to start out today with an article from Clean Technica. World auto sales for September compared to the previous year for EV were 17% of all car sales worldwide. That's a pretty big jump, I think, to see this. Anyways, we're up to almost 1.3 million units. All that's a new all-time record. And the plug-ins represented 17% of share of the overall market. 12% were battery alone. Market share could have been higher if the overall ICE market hadn't also been recovering to pre-COVID levels. So there were more car sales than normal as well. Plugless hybrids represent about 1 in 8 vehicles worldwide. 29% of global vehicle registrations have some form of electrification. So we're really starting to see big adoption of electric vehicles. Let's see if we got something else here. The Tesla Model 3 experienced its worst month since July of 2022, with only 26,000 sales due to the unexpected production change to the new refresh model. And we have a true BYD Armada, 5 models from the Shenzhen maker. Let's see, on the top half of the table, let's see, a company called GAC Aeon Y had 27,000. Let's see. There's always some manufacturers that I've not heard of. Zeekr got 8,700 registrations. Let's see. BYD has the new Seal plug-in hybrid. It's a Han plug-in hybrid. 7,400 registrations. See what we get here. There's some companies copying the Model Y. Top 20 models year to date. So the Model 3 slowed down because it's getting a cosmetic change. Anyways, it's just good to see that sales have picked up on EVs and registrations worldwide. Next article I find kind of interesting because VinFast is a Vietnamese auto dealer. It came to the United States just recently, and they started selling in California. And now they've announced that 70 US auto dealers have applied to be dealers for the VinFast electric vehicles. So this would be good. And their intention is to go through 125 different dealers. And the end of by the end of 2024, they want to go through hundreds of different points of sale. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle the dealer network. One of the big criticisms of the US auto dealer network is how, especially in some of the EVs where a dealer will only get a couple of cars, they may add $10,000 to the price. So somebody who's going shopping for an EV is seeing a significantly marked up vehicle, especially when you compare it to the process of simply going and ordering a Tesla. And so it's definitely a different kind of experience. VinFast dealers will be able to submit a request and then collect fulfillment periodically, monthly or quarterly, or in urgent cases by air. This will support the high standard repair and maintenance services offered to VinFast customers, regardless of distribution methods. What's interested is that VinFast is including a 10-year, 125,000-mile warranty and a 10-year unlimited mileage for the battery under non-commercial use. So you couldn't go using it as an Uber. I've met some Uber drivers who are driving Tesla Model 3s 100,000 miles per year. So this would exclude something like that. But otherwise, it for a personal use and commuting and stuff like that, it's on 10-year unlimited mileage. So that, could easily end up being a couple, 300,000 miles, depending on what you're doing. And I think that's a really amazing warranty. Beyond the US, VinFast is planning to be selling, delivering its electric vehicles in 50 countries by the end of 2024. They could achieve some of the most rapid growth and expansion in the EV industry outside of China. So it'll be interesting to see what we get out of VinFast in the next year or so. Now, here's something interesting. So we do have significant adoption of electric vehicles in certain parts of the United States. And this is kind of an interesting article coming from the cool down. And part of it is if your neighbor has gotten an electric vehicle, so a little bit of the peer endorsement of an electric vehicle is driving people to buy electric cars. So it seems that people are much more likely to drive an EV if their neighbors also drive an EV. Across 6 of 11 cities, rates of EV ownership are above the national average. In Philadelphia, saw a 426% EV growth rate between 2018 and 2022, while Charlotte saw an expansion of 476% compared to the national average of 328% during the same time frame. Now, this is a 4-year time period, and obviously, we've gone from almost no EV sales to starting to see exponential growth in EV sales. New York City exhibited the strongest example of peer pressure, dubbed the neighborhood effect, as they were able to narrow the study down to specific zip codes that showed disproportionate EV registration growth. EVs are increasing in popularity due to the high rate of customer satisfaction, falling prices, and particularly how much money they save you on gasoline. And it's very interesting once you start driving electric, you stop necessarily paying attention to the price of gas. And that's a different look as well, because that's one of the major barometers people use for determining how the economy is, because you see it as you're driving up and down the street. You see where the prices are changing. Let's see. Gas mileage is the top thing that people gets people to listen. It's eye-opening. When you get an electric vehicle, gets the equivalent of 100 plus what would be 100 miles per gallon if you were converting that fuel into electricity and then putting it into the car. It's tremendous difference of what you're seeing out of the car. But it's just kind of interesting that it's peer pressure. I know in different types of uh, ethnic groups, I see several groups, especially Indians and Chinese in my area, really heavily adopting electric vehicles, much more so than the normal population. And I think a lot of that is because that's who they hang out with. And so they see that people getting them, and so they decide to get them as well. Now, my next article is on the major benefits of owning an electric car. This comes to us from Top Speed. They're showing a nice little EV6 there. Electric cars are cheaper to drive than gas cars, saving drivers money on fuel costs. A luxurious noise-free driving experience. Well, the noise-free is basically if you're not driving a Tesla, because Tesla has issues with road noise. That's one of the biggest complaints for people if they're driving without the radio on, is that noise. Sure, you don't hear the motor, but you hear the wheels and you hear everything else. Charging an electric car can be done at home, eliminating the need to visit a gas station and ensuring a fully charged battery each day. Electric cars have low maintenance costs due to simplified design, fewer moving parts, no need for oil changes. This results in reduced wear and tear and increased reliability. They become the norm for so many drivers in the last few years, with so many not thinking twice about whether to buy electric or gasoline. Whether people looking to reduce their carbon footprint by driving one, want the most up to date tech at their fingertips, are trying to make a fashion statement, or simply love the design and ultra modern feel of electric cars. One of the things is if you haven't driven an electric car, particularly a Tesla, the seeing driving one and seeing the differences in technology between it and a gas powered car is almost night and day. And I've had people who are Tesla drivers who have told me they'd rather drive a gas powered car, but they want the Tesla features. They want all that space age type technology because Tesla's a few years ahead of most other car companies, although many are catching up. Now, a lot of people are concerned about whether to change or not. And they're skeptical about it, especially if it's a used car, because a lot of people are of the belief like the batteries are going to go out, and there have been battery problems in electric cars. That's not anything new, but for the most part, those are extremely rare. And the thing is, the batteries are going to be recycled, not so much recycled as much as repurposed. So when a electric vehicle wears out and it's time to get rid of it, the batteries aren't going in the trash. The battery is going to be used for energy storage in some type of green energy format, something like solar or wind. They'll be used basically as backup batteries to store that power. Anyways, that's all I've got today on today's show. Just a short show. And, anyways, coming up on Thanksgiving, hope everybody has a great holiday. And we probably won't broadcast on Thanksgiving, but we will broadcast tomorrow. Anyways,